old TFT set, set 5. I really enjoyed this set. It was definitely one of my more enjoyed sets. I currently don't really like set 8, which is what we're in now. I did not enjoy set 7 either. But 4, 5, and 6 were definitely better. To me, I enjoyed them, but let me know down in the comments where you guys would play some of your favorite champs, where you guys think my placement should be. Don't forget, like, subscribe, check out all of my other TFT content or tier list, whichever you're interested in, or both, and we will get started. Let's see, I'm trying to remember everybody just a little bit. I gotta put my man Hecarim all the way in S tier. I personally really loved the Forgotten trait before they fucked it up. And I've always liked Hecarim being able to have this massive healing tank out front that you can definitely have carry and somebody with him. I gotta put Katarina up there too. That 1-2 punch, him holding down the front line while she zips and zaps and assassinates everybody else, was definitely a fantastic 1-2 that I super enjoyed having on the team until they messed it up. Honestly, same with Morgana. I think she was definitely one of the better Nightbringer carries. The amount of damage she could do, while also the amount of tankiness she brought, depending on what items you put on her or both, was definitely some solid choices. If I wasn't running Forgotten, I was usually running Nightbringer. Is usually about how this set went for myself. Dawnbringer kind of, A-Bomb definitely too, but this was usually who my team was looking like, me personally, which may be why they're S tier, but they were definitely good nonetheless, no matter what you do, feel, or say about them. Oh, let's see. Diana, honestly, I have to put an A. I think she was much more of a disruptor than a killer. As far as assassins go, killing-wise, I feel like she wasn't really there. But as far as utility and disruption and stunning that she brought to the team, she was arguably the best in the entire set. So she definitely deserves A tier, but I didn't enjoy her as much in this set as I did in 4. I felt like she was, again, much more of a disruptor stunner, which is great, and she did that job very well, but I feel like I can't put her more than that. Teemo, I gotta put in B. The biggest reason why I think is honestly the buying of health. I think that was questionable for anybody, no matter how much health you had. And honestly, I feel like the amount of damage and everything was just not always there. That's just me, but I didn't feel like the consistency was there enough for me to pick Teemo up and be worth it. Honestly, same with Heimerdinger. I don't feel like the amount of consistency was there. The traits weren't really there either to me. I wasn't a huge fan of Heimerdinger in this set. But that's just me. Karma definitely deserves S tier. I feel like she was a problem. Same with Kale. I feel like they were both problems essentially the entire set. The entire time they were in, they were some top tier choices and some very top tier carries for sure. And honestly, I gotta put Ivern up there too. It seems like there's a shit ton of S tiers in this set. But Ivern was definitely the best splash champ to throw in any comp that you were running, really, and I think he was definitely worth it. Definitely a good tank. Brought in Daisy for some more utility and stunning, and was definitely up there. And honestly, I gotta put Kennen up in S tier too. I think he was the best Hellion in my opinion, arguably, with the amount of stunning and damage that he could do. Um, he was a great utility carry in my opinion. Definitely, arguably the best Hellion. Um, and honestly, Vel'Koz too. Vel'Koz definitely just shredded people with the redeemed straight. Um, and just the amount of damage you could deal, and even if you put Hextech Gunblade where he's healing, the amount of healing on top of that you could do was just pretty insane. I've never been a huge fan of Sejuani. I didn't feel like I mean, she was good. I'm pretty sure she was a 3 trait 2 cost as well, but I never, I've never enjoyed Sejuani. I've never understood the hype around her, to be honest, but that's just me. Viego, I gotta put an A. I think he was definitely a great 5 cost choice. I think the consistency again was just not there. I do feel like he was more consistent than Timo and Heimerdinger, and being able to turn somebody from the enemy team to your team was awesome. But I think there was just a lot of things that stopped him from doing that. Could he do a shit ton of damage and kill a lot of people or turn a lot of people? Yeah, but I feel like consistently turning people was a little bit difficult, as it should be, but you know, it was just a little on the more inconsistent side to put him into S tier. Lux, I have to put an A. I feel like there were so many times where I either won or lost because of her shielding herself or her teammates. There were a lot of times where she definitely came in super clutch with doing that. So I definitely think she deserves the nod to A tier. Um, honestly, Udyr to me was probably one of the worst in this set. Same with Set. I just, they were never good to me. Um, I tried using them both multiple times, but just was not there to me, honestly. Um, Brand, I think, was a pretty solid 2 cost early game carry, especially with A-Bomb. If you threw the right items on him and everything, it was definitely a pretty solid choice, and you could make the carry for the whole game, but the consistency throughout the whole game being a 2 cost carry was not always there, but definitely still a very solid choice. Thresh, I gotta give the nod to A, honestly. I think he was one of the best way to stop some of these carries like Karma and Kale in the back line. Maybe not fully stop, but definitely slow him down. And I feel like because he was a little bit on the tankier side, that he could definitely cast twice and slow them down a little bit more. But definitely not S tier, but the utility of being able to pull in that backline and minimum slow him down was pretty huge. Now, while you could say Thresh and Nautilus are pretty similar, I just don't think Nautilus was as worth it. The stun was there, and again, I think he could definitely cast twice because he's a little bit more of a tank than anything else, but he was definitely more of just your splash guy that brought in some utility and not much else. Rel with kind of that same thing, definitely worth it. I think she definitely deserves the A tier. 3 traits, 4 cost, worth the money. But honestly, I think her 3 traits weren't necessarily the best. I mean, Ironclad was kind of there, but there wasn't a whole lot of champs to make it work. Cavalier was there again, but again, it's just kind of, you know, who can you throw in with Cavalier to make it happen, make it work, make it be worth it. And then obviously Redeemed was good, and definitely more of where she would run and tank with. But she was good. I feel like she was always pretty much in everybody's lineup, or at least was at some point in the game. Um, Definitely a solid choice. For tanky frontline, one cost, Leona definitely takes the flag for that. Definitely takes home the trophy. Especially with Redeemed, I think she could definitely be a problem child. Same with Vlad being able to heal himself. With Nightbringer as well, definitely could make some bad shit happen for sure. Who's next? Nidalee. Honestly, I feel like Nidalee deserves S tier. I think she was definitely one of the better Dawnbringer units. Being able to dodge um, was awesome. It was nice because she started in the back line and then jumped and then was a melee champ and dodged, and Dawnbringer being able to heal herself she was definitely up there, and honestly, Varus probably deserves it too. I feel like he was pretty much a carry the entire set that he was in. Whole lot of damage output. Redeemed was great for him as well, and had, that's a good thing about people like Varus and the Redeemed. There was people that could hold the front line for him to succeed. There was Leona, there was Rel, um, probably somebody else down here. And even Syndra, honestly. Syndra probably deserves A tier because him and Syndra as a 1-2 with a tank in front was honestly insane. Because as soon as you thought you were getting close to kill either one of those two, Syndra would just throw you back and do a shit ton of damage to you, especially to you and your other champs that she would throw you to if there was any. And you put some good items on her, she could definitely be a carry as well, or at least help you do some high amount of damage. Rise, to me, a lot of people are going to say that you made him work, that he's S tier. That's just not how I ever felt about Rise. I could never get him to fully succeed, and that's definitely probably more on me than him being not S tier, but I could just never get him to be the carry. And maybe it was because, me playing Forgotten or A-Bomb, I threw a lot of items on other people before him to make them the carries, like Hecarim, like Cat, and even, somebody like Brand or something. So maybe that was more on me, and even Nunu, who I think is an A tier as well. But Nunu was definitely, to me, more of a carry than Rise could be. Definitely being able to chomp some people and do some shit ton of damage. Hold frontline as Brawler. And then I feel like the A-Bomb trait, between Forgotten and A-Bomb, it was definitely a choice which one you wanted to lean more towards. But Nunu was definitely up there. Warwick. Damn. I feel like I have to give Warwick to S. I feel like every set that Warwick is in, he's a problem. No matter what cost he is, being able to heal yourself just with basic attacks. And when he would all and go, I really enjoyed Warwick this set, and it was nice because he was with some people that I also enjoyed. He was definitely, if anybody was a one cost carry, it was between him and these two, honestly. That's just my opinion, but definitely a great choice. Yasuo, I think, deserved A. Shit ton of damage with Nightbringer and Legionnaire. Nothing bad to say about him. I just don't think he gives that umph to S, but he was definitely a very high damage output unit. Draven with the Forgotten Legionnaire, but this is when Forgotten was worse, when they brought Draven in. I gotta give him to A. I've never liked Draven, but he's always so fucking good that it's annoying. But he was definitely a very, very solid 4-cost choice to have carry for your team for sure. I can't really say anything bad to say about him, but he's definitely worth the carry for sure. Vayne, I've never enjoyed. I don't get me wrong, I liked Forgotten and I liked having her as a backline while Hecarim just tanked up front. Same with Warwick, but I've never got the hype around Vayne. Same with what I said about Sejuani. Good amount of damage, sure, but just I don't know. I've never felt like they were that fantastic. Zyra, honestly, a lot of people probably aren't gonna like it, but I gotta give to A. I feel like Zyra is the most inconsistent ultimate caster, but when that shit hits, it can literally just destroy a whole backline. There were so many times that in this set and in set 6, which I believe she was in as well, that I made her the carry and she works. Again, the consistency is not there, but when you hit that, man, it's all worth it. It's all worth it when she just destroys a backline carry team. You know, I would say I loved running her against the redeemed teams that people would run in this, because between Varus, Syndra, Kayle, Lux, all sitting in the backline and you're trying to get through their front, Zarya would just shred the backline if you threw some items on her and had a good comp around her for sure. I always really enjoyed her, but the consistency is definitely there. She definitely floats between, like, honestly, these three up here, but I gotta put her in A just because she definitely shredded so many teams for me. Trundle, I'll give to A as well. I feel like he was definitely just very good the whole set when he was in. Nothing bad to say about him. I just think that sometimes there were just better choices for carries. And I think some of his traits weren't necessarily the best to go with. You definitely had to run him either as a splash champ or kind of just fully run. I forget the team with like Mordekaiser and Pantheon, but they were both very solid as well. All three very tanky, could definitely make the carries. I just don't think any of them were necessarily S tier. I'm sure there was a minute where Trundle was. I feel like of these four, Pantheon was definitely the worst of these three, sorry. But overall, in the entire set, this is probably where I would put all three of them. And honestly, same with LeBlanc as far as she started out S tier for sure, and then they nerfed her pretty heavily, and then she kind of just became a pretty normal assassin with a good amount of damage still, but not the most consistent after the fact. Lysandra as a 1, I actually thought she was a 3. Maybe they switched her to 3. I'll give her to B. I feel like Lysandra is always pretty decent. You can make her a carry, kind of, but she never really gets that oomph to be great. But she's definitely never on the worst side. Kha'Zix, honestly, I felt like was probably the worst assassin in the game. Yes, he had the Dawnbringer thing, but honestly, he wasn't even worth putting items on. He never felt great to me. Not like he did in one of the previous sets where he was the mutant assassin. I think that was 6. That one, he was definitely better. But this is set 5, or was set 5. So anyway, Nocturne, damn. Nocturne I gotta give to A. And the biggest reason why he's not an S is honestly just the traits. While Revenant was a pretty good splash trait, I feel like he was only used as an assassin unless you were also running Revenants, which you definitely could. But he was definitely always very solid, very hard to kill, did a high amount of damage. Nothing bad to say about him except the traits that he was dealt. That definitely kind of hurt him at times more than it helped him, in my opinion. Um, Garen, honestly, as a 5 cost, I never really enjoyed either. We'll give Darius the nod to A. I feel like Darius did a lot more damage and had a higher ability to kill. Garen, to me, just kind of, I don't know, he never hit like a 5 cost to me. Not that I ran Dawnbringer a whole lot, but he never made it there for me. Kindred, we'll give to A. I feel like the damage was definitely there, but I don't remember her traits being that usable and that splashable either. But definitely high amount of damage. Volley Bear I'll give to A as well. I feel like he was definitely one of the, I would say he was the easiest 5 cost to splash in to your team for the most part. I feel like a whole lot of teams ran like Ivern and Volley Bear builds. No matter what else you were running, usually one of those two champs were in there most every fight. Victor, I'll give to B. I just think he was kind of a great splash champ. I saw some times you could make him a carry. I never really tried too hard to make him a carry, but he was good. I really don't have anything bad to say about him, but he was just kind of there, you know. 90% of the time he was definitely not really a problem in this set anyway. Aphelios. I'll give to A. Honestly, I don't really have much to say about him. He was just pretty good. But even with Nightbringers, I personally had a bunch of other carry options instead of him that I would have used. I've never been a huge fan of Aphelios, but that's just me. Gragas. Gragas I'll give to B. Biggest reason is the Dawnbringer trait. He could definitely tank up front. Not a whole lot of damage, but definitely tank and then heal himself with the Dawnbringer. That's why he's in B. Aatrox I'll give to A as well. I think he was a pretty solid 1 cost keep alive carry. I think Redeemed was probably one of the best traits in this set for sure. And the biggest reason why is because they were balanced, you know. You had this frontline team with Aatrox, Leona, Rel, and then you had backline damage with Syndra, Varus, Vel'Koz, Kayle. You had balance in there, and a lot of traits, especially in these more recent sets like 7 and especially 8 to me, they're just not really balanced as far as, you know, you have people at all levels, and even Lux keeping everybody alive. But Aatrox was good. Heal himself with his ability. Good amount of damage. Definitely a solid 1 cost choice for sure. Soraka, I saw some carries, and I used her as a carry before too. She's not as bad as everybody seemed to make her, but she's definitely not an amazing choice either. There's definitely just better carry choices. Riven is always good, but I've never been super attached to her. Honestly, the biggest reason why she's an A is because of the Dawnbringer trait as well, being able to heal herself, stay alive, and do even more damage and shit. Because she was good, but I've never been a giant fan. honestly, to me, all of these one cost Hellions were one. And honestly, even maybe not Callista, but even Lulu, um, they were just Poppy's never been the best. I like her ability. She's a decent tank in the early game as a one cost, which she usually is always a one. Kled you could definitely make work and kind of carry. Ziggs as well, but definitely less consistent, kind of like Zyra with his bombs. I've never been a fan of Lulu in any set. But yeah, I don't feel like any of them deserve to be an A, but I definitely don't feel like they are C tier champs. If anybody is of the three, it's probably Poppy and or Ziggs. But that's just me. Taric, honestly, I feel like Taric never did shit. I'm gonna be real. The healing, yeah, is great, but honestly, I felt like it took too long for him to cast. Like, at most, you're going to get 2 casts out of him unless you have a bunch of items on him for him to be able to cast more. But nothing crazy to me. Ashe in this set, I feel like this is probably the worst version of Ashe. I don't even remember Ashe in this set. She must have came at like 4.5 or 5.5, sorry. Or maybe they took her out after the first section. I don't remember her very well from this set because this picture is not from this set. This picture of both of them are from set 6, so it's bugging my brain. Callista, I'm in between B and A. I feel like she could definitely carry it if you were running essentially straight A-bomb Legionnaire, but better off probably trying to make somebody else the carry. Lee Sin, honestly, to me was underrated. I literally have a video of him carrying my team. I put some items on him and made him work very well with Nightbringer. So go check that out. I enjoyed him. Definitely underrated in this set, in my opinion. And then there was Jax. I feel like, honestly, this is the worst Jax we saw. I feel like he was never a problem. Usually in every single set, Jax is a super big baddie. I'll actually give him to A because of the traits, and I think there was a time a little bit in this set where he was definitely carry worthy, but as far as usually what we see from Jax being able to just murder everybody the whole time, especially in this current set. But this is where I would place everybody from the previous TFT Set 5. Let me know what you guys think, where you guys would place these champs, any of them, all of them. Let me know what you guys think where I placed them. Check out my other TFT content, my other TFT tier lists, all my other tier list of games. Don't forget, like